I get a lot of questions and even more confused looks from people when they find out that I'm both a bluegrass musician as well as an avant-garde composer. And if you take my phone and open up Apple Music and look at my recently played albums, you'd find albums from every genre in between those two. The main question I get is, how does all of that work together? How can one person who listens to such traditional music also listen to such experimental music? How does it work? Well, through my many years of performing and studying and analyzing and arranging and listening to music, I have found two things. First is I found many ways in which seemingly very different music is actually related. And the second thing I've found, which is what I want to do with you today and throughout these videos, is I figured out how to introduce people to music that they would have otherwise maybe turned off or never really gotten into. But now we are. We're going to get into a lot of new music starting today, and each time there's a new video, probably will be new music that you've never heard before. And my hope is at the end of it, you will find something that you really like and want to keep listening to. Today, we are going to start out with something very personal to me. And that is, how did I get into avant-garde music? How did a bluegrass fiddler get into the music of John Cage, for example? Now, that's what we're going to do today. I have received a lot of suggestions to do some type of podcast or maybe a short video or an article on various topics about music from my colleagues. Topics such as the history of American music or how to listen to experimental music, all these different things. But most recently, my very good friend, mentor, and colleague, Amidon, suggested that I do these video series, and I was actually thinking something similar. So we're going to try these for a while, and this is Music with Matt. Welcome. So, how did I discover avant-garde music? That is an interesting question, and the answer is quite surprising and probably not what you would ever expect me to say, but it's how it happened. It's this guy right here, the legendary bluegrass, country, and jazz fiddle player Vassar Clements. And this is one of my favorite records of his, Westport Drive. But they're all super good, so any record you find of Vassar is going to be really good. So wait a second, did Vassar play avant-garde and experimental music? Well, no, he sure didn't. But Vassar was the first musician in my musical journey that expanded my ears to improvisation, and was one that almost never played idiosyncratically to the genre he was working in. Vassar played the jazziest runs ever in bluegrass and put in the coolest fiddle licks in bebop tunes. Vassar had some interesting effects on me. At local jams, I started trying to imitate his fiddle vocabulary, and this did not go so well. The jams were organized by bluegrass purists, and they wanted to hear pure bluegrass music. But it was too late for me. I had wanted to hear more, Vassar opened my ears to more, and I wanted to hear more. So, I started trying to find music in every other direction. I needed something beyond the harmonic and tonal constraints that bluegrass music had. So now we're at the main point of this video. Vassar introduced me to a whole new world of music that I didn't know existed, just through pushing the boundaries a little bit in a music that I already did listen to. And that's what everyone needs to find for themselves. Probably will not be Vassar for you, it was for me, maybe it will be for you too, but you need to find an artist who already is playing the music that you know and like, but is pushing the boundaries a little bit. And by doing so, that is going to introduce you to a whole new world of music that you didn't even know about. Or maybe you did but didn't check out. Well, that artist will help you find all of those new amazing discoveries. It wasn't long after that I discovered two figures that somehow blended perfectly in my mind with the music I was already listening to, took the music I already was listening to and expanded it light years ahead of where I was at. And those two figures were Cecil Taylor and John Cage. The discovery of those two was like jumping into a giant wormhole. Once I discovered each of them, I started pursuing in both directions, so it's kind of like a composition direction and a free improvisation direction. I started searching out artists in both directions as quickly as I could. I started discovering people like Brian Ferneyhill, the great composer of new complexity music, the group Ensemble of Chicago, the Arditi String Quartet, and violinist Irvin Arditi. All of these people had profound influences on me. In fact, they even changed what I ended up pursuing in college. I started out to pursue jazz violin in college. I discovered and really fell in love with the music that these people were playing, and I ended up being an avant-garde composition student in college. Everything I've mentioned to you so far has had a profound impact on my trajectory as a composer, a musician, listener, anything. But it also helped me find my true musical identity. That took some time, but I want to share with you what that is. It's not being a traditional musician. It's not being an experimental musician. It's both. For me, it's both, somewhere in the middle of those two. About 2 years into my college work as an avant-garde composer, in which I was immersed in modern classical music for about 8 hours a day, I started missing something. I couldn't pinpoint what exactly, but then one day I took a walk through Boston, and I turned on this album on my earbuds, and it was Tony Rice Plays and Sings Bluegrass Music. Probably, in my opinion, one of the greatest bluegrass albums ever recorded. And I will always remember that amazing feeling that washed over me when I turned this on and heard it for the first time in so long, and realized that it was exactly what I've been missing. That for me, it was a perfect balance to have avant-garde and bluegrass together. The next track after that Tony Rice piece actually was John Cage, and I let it play, and it was perfect. I didn't change it. That was exactly what I had been wanting. I didn't realize it, but then finally everything made sense that I can't have one without the other. So of course, even if I try to keep these two pursuits separate, inevitably they will start to merge ever so slightly even at some point. And at this point they sure have. For example, I love playing a bluegrass show or old-time fiddle tunes with free improvisation in the middle of them, or playing an avant-garde concert of free improvised music, and at the end of it, sneaking in a little fiddle tune. For me, it's all music, and I love it all, and it's just a great blend when I can do both things. Much to my delight, there was someone already doing such a thing that I didn't know about, and then I discovered it, and it was like the greatest musical discovery ever. And that is this artist here, Sam Amidon. This is their newest full-length release, The Following Mountain, but you should check out any music from Sam Amidon. Sam will take an Appalachian fiddle tune, play it really great, and then throw in the wildest free improvisation ever. And for me, that is just like the ultimate music, to hear so much combined into one beautiful sound. So why am I telling you all this? What's the point of all this information? Well, I never imagined that listening to a bluegrass fiddle player who pushed the boundaries ever so slightly would lead me to wanting to learn, and trying to learn years later, the music of John Cage, the string quartets of Brian Ferneyhough, etc. As I said earlier, this is what we all need to help us make new discoveries in music. That's what I hope we will do each week together, is find some new music to discover together, share albums, learn about different aspects of music, and just make a lot of new discoveries that we will end up loving for a long time to come. So thank you for tuning in this week, and I can't wait to see you next week. Thanks.